Hello, and welcome to this edition of Spirit Bread. There's a story about a little boy whom his father had introduced to a friend. When the boy's father's friend asked him, "What do you have to say, young fella?" the boy promptly asked, "Can you give me a nickel?" Of course, asking for a nickel reveals how old this story is, because today the question would probably be, "Can you give me $5?" Somewhat startled, the man pulled a nickel from his pocket and gave it to the boy. His father, embarrassed by his son's forwardness, looked at his son and said, "Now what do you say, son?" expecting a thank you from the boy. Instead, the boy looked straight up at the man and asked, "Can you give me another one?" In Matthew 7 through 11, Jesus tells us to do three things: ask, seek, and knock. He's talking about prayer. How can we expect anything unless we ask? Before I retired from my business of building websites, it would have been nice if all I had to do was wait for the phone to ring with someone on the other end of the line begging me to build them a website. But it didn't work that way. I had to spend hours on the phone contacting businesses and asking them if they had ever considered a website for their company. Once I had an interested party, then I normally had to call them 3 to 5 times over the next couple of months before they gave me a final answer. I had to ask, and I had to keep on asking until they said yes or no. But it didn't end there. I had to seek. In other words, I had to look for those businesses who didn't already have a website and research them to see what they did, what they might be interested in on a website, and what domain names were available. I was normally armed with this information before I ever asked. As I said, I usually had to make several follow-up calls before I got a straight answer from them, and I usually had to make an appointment with them to talk face-to-face. That's knocking. If you go up to someone's home, you'll never know if they're really home unless you knock on the door or ring the doorbell. The point is that even in prayer, we have to ask, seek, and knock. Why is that? At one point in my life, I thought, if we serve a God who knows everything about us, knows what we need, knows what we want from life, and so forth, is he just being stubborn or lazy by making us ask, seek, and knock? Sounded reasonable. That is, until I discovered that God wants us to be involved in the solution to our problems. He is a good God. He wants nothing but the best for us. But if we don't care enough about our needs, or we're too proud to ask, seek, and knock, then we most likely don't really need what we're looking for. The secret to receiving from God is in our attitudes, our motives, and in what we're asking for. You see, it would be wonderful to instantly become a millionaire. Now, wouldn't it? All our financial woes would come to an end. Everything we could possibly want or need would be instantly provided. But the fact of the matter is, there are many millionaires and billionaires in this world who are not happy. Even though they're set financially for life, they continue to want more and more and more. That's because, in most cases, they really don't know what they want, and ultimately what they have and what they get does not fulfill what they really need in their lives. The secret is in asking, seeking, and knocking for what God knows will bring fulfillment to us. If we do our research, seeking, taking inventory of our lives, our hopes, our dreams, and our desires, we will most likely discover that it isn't trinkets or things that make us happy, but relationships with people and with God. In seeking, do your research. Find out if what you want can really make you happy and fulfill your relationship with the Lord. If so, then ask God for it. When we do, we aren't just trying to make Him aware of what we need because He already knows, but we are opening the door and becoming involved in what we're asking for. Finally, knock, not once, not twice, but until our answer comes. And it will. If we're asking for what God has willed for our lives, the answer will be yes. But if we're asking out of selfishness, greed, and pride, our answer may be no. Either way, God will give us the best answer. Now, what are we going to do with it? I'd like to take this opportunity to tell you about our book, Winning the Battle. I feel that this book is very important in today's world, and I want you to have it, no strings attached, and completely free of charge. Winning the Battle describes the spiritual battle in which we are engaged, how to fight, and how to win. All you have to do to get your free copy is to visit our website at spiritbread.com, click on the words Our Books, and there you can download it again free of charge, No hidden tracking programs, and we aren't going to ask you for any information at all. It's just a clean and completely free download in PDF format. That's it. Thank you and have a great day. Well, thanks for joining us today. Be sure and look for the next edition of Spirit Bread.